Who is BYD? You mentioned automobiles. They are the world's largest producer of electric vehicles. You mentioned batteries. They are the very same company that produces the cheapest batteries and even supplies them to Tesla. You mentioned phones. They are the world's largest mobile device manufacturer. After Foxconn, the producer of iPhones, Apple's iPad, Huawei and Xiaomi's phones are even produced by BYD. The question on all our minds is this: who is BYD? The company that produces everything. To answer this question, we have reviewed hundreds of sources. We examined the life of its founder, Wang Chuanfu, and we delved a bit into China's hidden virtual archives. We uncovered who this company truly is and what it is capable of for you. Wang Chuanfu, the man who will establish an electric car factory in Turkey. With a $1 billion investment to reach Europe, he is the founder and CEO of the Chinese company BYD. He is the youngest son of a family with 8 children, and his parents were illiterate. This battery genius lost his father at the age of 13 and his mother at the age of 15. How did he manage to rise from a mountain village in eastern China to establish BYD, a company that has taken the world by storm? The story begins in the 1960s, a time when China was grappling with poverty and people struggled to put food on the table despite the economic hardships. Wang, pressured by his older brother, continued his education in an era when only a few out of thousands of students were able to attend university. At a prestigious university, he earned the right to study chemistry and was introduced to batteries. He also succeeded in being admitted to a prestigious research institute in Beijing for his master's degree. At this point, he had virtually dedicated his life to academia and decided to continue his career as a researcher because he loved working on new technologies like lithium-ion batteries, until the institute assigned him in 1993. O had a battery company in Shenzhen, a city far from its current impressive status. Wang Chuanfu, even though he was in a comfortable position with a generous salary, high status, and a role that would steer the battery technology he was passionate about, he makes a sudden decision to pursue his dreams. In the rapidly developing China of the 1990s, he decides to disrupt his comfort and start his own company. The battery genius would now produce his own batteries. The plan was as follows. The Japanese were producing nickel-cadmium batteries for the whole world, but due to environmental concerns, a shift to lithium-ion batteries was beginning. However, the demand for nickel-cadmium batteries continued both in China and around the world. With the Japanese withdrawing from the market, a significant gap was created. Seizing this opportunity, Wang founded his own company in 1995 to produce nickel-cadmium batteries. Since he wasn't very optimistic about the success of this venture, he chose a memorable 3-letter name for the company. Later, he takes a substantial loan from a cousin, who would later become a Chinese billionaire, and sets up the production facilities. He quickly begins production and secures the first supply agreements. Without wasting any time, BYD starts its operations. And exactly 1 year later, it also enters the lithium-ion battery sector, because Wang's main goal is to become #1 in lithium-ion technology, which he sees as the technology of the future for global giants like Motorola, Nokia, and Samsung. BYD, initially producing phone batteries, takes full advantage of China's low-cost production capabilities. Within a few years, BYD and Wang accomplished what no one else could. They turned BYD into the second largest producer in the global phone battery industry, emerging from China. This major success is crowned with a significant public offering in 2002, and the funds raised are used to enter the phone assembly industry. BYD is no longer just producing batteries, it is also assembling phones and manufacturing components like metal, glass, and plastic parts. As a result, it manages to become a manufacturing giant capable of rivaling Volkswagen on the global stage. Surprisingly, BYD had become one of the largest producers of Apple's iPad. You might be wondering, wait a minute, you're talking about BYD, cars, and electric vehicles. But now you're telling us about phones and batteries. Now, let's get back to the main topic. Seeing how cell phones were taking the world by storm, Wang Junfu first delved into battery production and then phone manufacturing, rapidly growing his company. However, Wang had different goals. The competition in batteries and phones was high, and profit margins were low. To continue growing, BYD needed to enter a much more profitable industry. Wang was aware of this challenge and had a brilliant plan to enter the automotive sector.
BYD would not be a traditional car manufacturer. It would do something no one else had achieved at that time,
and produce electric cars. In 2003, when Tesla had not yet been founded,
Wang Chuanfu rolled up his sleeves to produce electric vehicles. He first needed a factory and a production license, Kuai Nihun automobile, equipped with relatively modern machines.
And most importantly, a production license was a perfect fit for BYD. Wang achieved something significant
by acquiring this military-affiliated, semi-bankrupt car manufacturer. But he also became the target of both the media and investors. Many people around him, including his own board and major shareholders,
warned Wang Chuanfu that entering the automotive sector and failing could ruin BYD.
Everyone was questioning what a phone battery producer knew about cars, and they weren't entirely wrong.
Aware of the situation, BYD's founder took immediate action. He brought dozens of different cars, from Toyota and Honda to Volkswagen and Mercedes, into the factory, disassembled them, and examined every detail.
Wang personally dismantled and studied nearly 50 cars,
spending 3 years working tirelessly to develop and produce BYD's own engine, chassis, and vehicle body from scratch.
The F3, almost a replica of the Corolla, became BYD's first model developed from scratch
and was launched into the market. In 2006, this sedan exceeded 100,000 sales, astonishing the industry. In 2008, BYD shook the automotive world again with the F3DM,
the world's first plug-in hybrid car. In its early years,
BYD stood out by producing replicas of popular models from brands like Chevrolet and Toyota.
However, in 2010,
BYD initiated a transformation that would break the mold for the Chinese automotive industry. The fully electric BYD is officially available for sale. This vehicle, which is making its debut as a taxi
in BYD's hometown of Xinjiang,
features a 75 kWh lithium iron phosphate battery and a range of over 300 kilometers, which was quite sufficient for the day.
In the following years,
BYD dedicated vehicles to Chinese dynasties such as Han, Tang, and Song,
offering both hybrid and electric options. This strategy not only captivated China, but also the entire world. BYD's success attracted the attention of Warren Buffett.
In 2008, during a global economic crisis,
Buffett invested $230 million in BYD, acquiring a 19.8% stake in the company.
Wang Chuanfu also carved out a place among China's richest individuals.
In Wang's journey from a poor family to becoming a billionaire, batteries were the key.
His mastery of battery technology,
along with his skills in electronics and production, distinguished him from other car manufacturers. For the first time in 2020, BYD's Blade battery, using lithium iron phosphate cells in a long,
thin prismatic form, provided a cost advantage compared to competitors.
This innovation allowed BYD vehicles to achieve reasonable range and charging speed with a more affordable battery.
The LFP battery, invented by American scientists, was further developed by the Chinese to be used even in high-end supercars worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In 2023 alone,
BYD managed to produce 111 GWh of batteries for electric vehicles, making it the second largest producer in the world. It became one of the key suppliers for car brands like Tesla, Sangyong, and Xiaomi.
Not only is BYD a leader in batteries, but its holding company also includes BYD Semi, a giant firm responsible for semiconductor chip production. Thanks to this company,
BYD is able to produce 80% of the chips used in its vehicles by developing and manufacturing almost all the subsystems of its cars.
From cells and chips to motors and software, BYD has been leading the electric vehicle transformation for over a decade.
Founded 29 years ago with just 20 people in an idle factory,
this company today is much more than an ordinary car manufacturer, with hundreds of factories and over 220,000 employees. Just 5 years ago, in 2019, BYD's annual production was less than 500,000 vehicles. By 2023, it had become one of the fastest growing car manufacturers, releasing over 3 million vehicles.
BYD also produces buses, trucks, SUVs, motors, and even phones, tablets, and metro systems.
They have built giant ships with a capacity of over 7,000 vehicles
for exporting cars and developed their own autonomous driving technology. After Thailand, Hungary, and Brazil, BYD is now coming to Turkey.
BYD is moving forward with confidence and major investments on its path to industry leadership.
We've tried to summarize the story of BYD,
which started in a mountain village in China and has extended to the entire world. See you in our next video.